All right, let's go to part 5, the classroom setting. This is mechanics now. This is setting up the classroom. This shouldn't be as much time per slide, I think, as what we talked about previously on how to make the presentation. But this is critical. Watch. You're doing everything right. You're putting it all together. You're prepared. And then you go into the setting that just is disaster. And it can, and we have some stories here, and some, it's crazy how it could be. So we got it. This is where the instructor, you need to take some control, as much as maybe even past the line of control sometimes, in order, because your job is to communicate, right? Your job is to give to the student. Your job is to make sure, because they have no control. So your job is to push people who are thinking, oh, don't worry about it. They're fine inside that. You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. No. They're not fine inside that. That has to be better than this. And sometimes you might have to get serious about that. So the classroom setting, let's go through it real quick here. 5.1. When was the last time an instructor captured imagination before he or she even started speaking? This is important. Before they even started speaking, they should be like, wow. You know how I do it? In our personal seminars, you go to this hotel and you walk on the door and you're like, man, look at this hotel. This is exciting. Right off the bat, the structure of the building, and then you start getting into the room. Because when I do a large seminar, sometimes you can't control a lot of settings in the room, but you can control the building that you come into, and you can control what the room could look like to some degree. If you dress up the classroom, it shows that something is about to happen and demonstrate that you're prepared. If you're an apprenticeship instructor and you have a room that you use on a regular basis, or you're going to this venue on a regular basis, start building some props. Well, Mike, you don't understand this. Okay, I understand there are certain limitations you have, but limitations to me don't mean anything to me because I don't know what the boundary is. So what do? I always go past the boundary. I'm like, oh, there was a boundary back there. All right, fine. And then I go the other direction past the boundary. So if I had no control, I'm going to find out how much control I have. And I would put up posters, and I would get equipment, and I would do what I could to do something. So when a student walks in the door, like, ooh, that's a little different here. It's going to be kind of fun. Provide a nice classroom setting, handouts. Everything needs to be thought out. The students should be anticipating that the program is going to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Now, they don't know this. They don't understand there's a beginning, middle, and an end because students aren't related to that, and most people aren't relating to that. But you have to be aware of that. There is a beginning, there is a middle, and there is an end. And when it starts from them getting in the classroom. That's the beginning of the whole process. And then, of course, your presentation, you're going to tell them what we're going to tell them, right? Then we're going to tell them. And then we're going to continue on, which we'll talk about. Continuing on. Don't teach in an unacceptable environment, and don't teach a topic that you're not happy with. Listen, you want to be a great instructor, okay? Well, then you need to set some standards. There might be certain seminars like, listen, sorry, I'm not going to be able to accommodate you. I really can't help you. I'm not going to go there. And I've had scenarios where sometimes it's unexpected. I was in the Virgin Islands once. I flew down there, and they put me in a facility where we were outside in a veranda. It was an overhang patio, and right out there on the marina with all the girls in the bikinis watching all these amazing boats, okay? And the sun was gorgeous, and you got the beach, and you got the sand, and you got everything out there. And you had an overhead projector and a screen, and I turned on the projector, you could see nothing on the screen. And I'm like, I looked at this, I'm thinking, I don't even want to be here. I mean, I want to be in the beach. I want to be in the boat. I want to meet those people. I want to be out here on an island. And I said, look, I'm not doing this seminar here. Now, they already paid me to fly there, and they already had this agenda. I said, I'm not doing the seminar here. I said, because how can I do a seminar? They can't see the screen. I mean, this doesn't work. We got another venue. Mike, we can't get another venue. I said, what do you mean you can't get another venue? Mike, this is the Virgin Islands. It's a little tiny island. There are only so many rooms that can hold 100 people. I'm thinking, oh, didn't think about that. So I personally make the phone call at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And by 5:30 that day, I got another venue for 100 people. We moved everything to another hotel, and it worked perfect. We got 100 people there. So I really caused a lot of fright. And I told them, listen, I will pay for my flight here. You know what I'm saying? So you don't owe me a dime. So I don't want it to cost you. But I cannot teach people in this environment because it's not going to work. It's not fair for those people to go there. So that was an extreme case. That was the most extreme case I ever had. And I think we might get into, Ryan, a scenario that we had. We'll see where that comes in the PowerPoint. The final class outcome will reflect on you as the instructor. That's the bottom line. You're the one. So do all you can to be sure the facilities and class curriculums are correct for the situation. Let's talk again about that. If I talk to somebody, they want me to do a seminar, I'm like, where do you want to do a seminar? Well, we got a supply house, and they're going to sit us on tables in the back of the supply house. I'm like, no. We're not doing a seminar in a supply house with these great big lights all the way up there, and the equipment in the background, and the noise inside here, and all the dirt all over the place. Let's get a hotel. Wow. These are guys, Mike. You don't understand. They don't really want to be in a fancy hotel. I said, no. These are guys. They want to be in a fancy hotel. Everybody wants to be pampered. So don't tell me that you feel that you have to get into a low class situation in order to make people to feel comfortable. They feel comfortable when they're in a finer class location. So I push them to give me the best location I possibly can. The topic. That's another problem. You asked me to cover a topic on hazard classified locations. Hold on. Let me give you an email. Contact Ryan@MikeHolt.com. You know what I mean? Because I'm not interested in doing, let's say, hazard classified locations. It's just not my passion. It's not something I'm going to go. I'm not the best person because what you need is a little bit more involved. You don't need general stuff. You need the really nitty gritty, all the stuff that somebody has that passion inside there. So I'm sorry, I'm not the person. So don't feel like you have to teach everything. Learn. You want to be a great instructor. So when you walk out the door, they're going to say, wow, that was amazing. And they don't realize part of it was the venue, part of it was with you, part of it was a whole package. It was the curriculum. It was the book you had. It was the PowerPoints that you used, the images and the graphics. It was like, wow. So be aware of the big picture there because you're responsible. 5.2, the classroom. Be sure the class environment is conducive to learning and it's comfortable for you to teach in. We kind of mentioned that already. If the facility isn't acceptable, request or find something that is. I mentioned that already, even the extreme sometimes. Avoid teaching in an industrial area. It's terrible. These guys have been working in this industrial facility. They might have been coming off the third shift, and now they're going to go into this industrial facility, and they're going to be teaching a class. And you don't even want to be there because, it's just like, so, but listen, we're talking about perfection, right? But then we got to deal with what? Reality. So, you push to what you can get. But I know, Brian, you do seminars. We're doing them in Navy bases and nuclear power plants and whatever it is, and it's what it is. Yeah. You know what I mean? So don't take it what I'm saying. I'm just saying when you have some control, push it. Try to get it in there. 5.2, you may be able to motivate high school classes or young men with posters and visual sports, cars, boats, and other things that might interest them. So maybe if you're in a young group of people in a classroom, this morning we're talking about different cars and Corvettes and things like that, and maybe you're trying to motivate somebody or somebody like trucks or baseball sports figures or something like that kind of get them engaged, kind of get them motivated, kind of encourage them, Brian?
Well, I think the next point that you've got coming up is the one that really is key when you're trying to motivate them, and that is we want to make sure that whatever you're motivating them with is attainable for them, because that'll really, to me, we were talking about the Corvette specifically is what I'm thinking of, and we're like, F1 McLaren, that's fine. There was, 250-something ever made or something, and we're talking about the Corvette, and we're like, hey, you know what? That's something I could buy if I work hard. That's something any of us in this room, if we really put some effort out, could attain. So, yeah.
If you're looking to motivate, right, and that's part of your agenda, then you're trying to find out to help people see the big picture.
Yep.
Let them know that things are attainable if they become trained professionals. Here's the key. Part of our job as an instructor, at least what we feel, I use this instructing as an excuse to motivate people because that's really my goal. Okay, you're coming to class for a reason. Then I get a chance to try to motivate you, let you inspire you, and let you think that you can do a lot more than you even realize you could possibly do. And so there's where you kind of try to figure out ways to kind of get people. Hey, listen, this is possible. You can have this. You're the next leader. You're going to be replacing me. Ryan?
And I've never really taught apprenticeship. I've gone there and I've lectured for a night, right? But man, if I were teaching apprenticeship, I would find some way to really let the students know that other than buying a home, the investment in your education is probably the second biggest monetary investment that you're ever going to make, just in terms of dollars and cents. So let's make sure that we're treating it that way. Think about how much money you're spending on your education here.
Well, the thing is, if you're in an apprenticeship program, we want to continue reinforcing, helping them understand you're not wasting time here.
Right, absolutely.
You can't even imagine how important it is and what you were lucky to get here, okay? You obviously are here. People and all the instructors that I've seen in pretty much educational programs, they're all there for the student. They're trying to help it. So you got to figure out, listen, I'm not fighting you here. I'm actually on your team. I'm trying to make a difference in your life. So you try to get them to understand as a student what the value is. And so that they can I got to buy into that. You're right. This is for me. Some people see it automatically. Some people it takes a little bit more time before they realize this is really what we need to do. Well, let's continue on the classroom. Noise. Be careful when setting up your facilities. Be sure the room next door isn't having a wedding or other party that could cause distractions due to noise. I've had that happen to me. I get a hotel, get all ready to go, think it's fine, and then there's a wedding. I'm like, or there's a sales meeting, and they're giving out awards, and each person that comes up, they're clapping and setting off the alarms, setting off the horns and everything. I'm like, and what are you going to do now? They're having a wedding next door, and they're having the sales meeting next door, and usually I say, guys, we stop for a second, we hear what's going on, say, look, they're having a wedding next door. Obviously, it's a wonderful time, a wonderful experience, so nothing we can do about this. Now, I'll try to find another room. Can we move around? We're like, okay, we can't move around. So the sales alarm, of the sales things going off like that, and sometimes, it's so loud that we start clapping, because let's get engaged with them or something like that. Or sometimes they're bothering me, and I just go so much that they're knocking on my door trying to get me to be quiet. So it's part of it. Ryan?
Well, that goes back to preparing for success. I think one of the things that you need to keep in mind when you're selecting a venue is you can just ask and say, hey, do you have anything else? Do you have a wedding scheduled? Do you have a sales meeting? And I know we do that with the hotels we have relationships with. But, that's something that you can actually be proactive to some degree. You can't always do something about it, but you can be proactive on that.
That's why we're having this discussion, to be aware.
Yep.
So you don't have to learn these lessons. Eric?
Yeah, I was teaching an engineering class once, and there was a church service going on in the conference room next. I just made it a part of the class. It was great.
Next one is room quality. We talked about that. The quality of the room makes a big difference on the mood of the student. Always push for the highest quality. Get the most professional facility that you can possibly get. Don't worry about intimidating students. They like nice facilities. Room temperature. The temperature room is important. Too cold, students are wondering, how can they get warm? Too warm, students relax and possibly fall asleep. We're really aware. When we have 400, 600 people in a classroom in a large venue, I'm really aware of the temperature in the room, and we're continuous. And here's the problem. A lot of these air conditioning controls, they have these phony thermostats on the walls. That's just to keep you busy. You know what I mean? And you tell them it's warm. They say, oh, no, it's, and then the hotel keeps giving you all kinds of BS the whole time. Then you find out engineering is actually controlling the temperature. And what you need to find out is what is the setting that you have, okay, the digital setting they have. And then we actually have a thermal scan, and we actually measure the temperature of the walls in the rooms, okay, as our seminar goes. So that if we see the temperature in the room is, let's say it's 73, but the digital control that they have is, let's say, 71, then it gives us some relationship as to what we're looking to do here. Then what we'll tell them is this. We'll tell them, you don't say, we need to make the room cooler, because that's, what does that mean? Okay, 5 degrees cooler, a half a degree cooler. We always change it by 1 degree increments. And I've almost, the last time, went in. Actually, I think I did go into the engineering office to see what they were doing, because sometimes they misunderstand. So just find out, how is the temperature controlled. If it's cold, raise it up 1 degree. If in an hour later it's still cold, raise it up 1 degree. If it's hot, do it by 1 degree increments. Don't say, hey, it's too hot in that room, can you make it cooler? It's too cold in the room, can you make it warmer? And I believe if I have to sacrifice warmth or coolness, I think I'd rather people be a little cooler. I feel that the body is probably trying to keep the body warm, so it's circulating blood. And so I think goes to the brain. This is just my theory. It might even be true. And if it's warm, then it's funny. When it gets warm, I don't sleep that well at night. I like it cool. But in the daytime, I think when it gets warm, I think I have a tendency to slow down. Maybe that's why I have a theory that if you do income levels of people through the latitudes, that the latitudes closest to the equator, their income per capita person is probably lower than as the latitude goes further north or further south from the equator. I think because if it's warm, you're not worrying about trying to stay warm. You have food there. You're not working as hard. Where you start going a little north, like in Germany, and you start getting in the northern part, then people seem to. It's just my perception that there is some relationship to income relative to latitude, and it might relate to cooler. You might be a little bit more active than if it's warmer. So just be aware of temperature. I'm not saying it. You guys have any experience on temperature? How do you like the rooms to be temperature?
A little cold. On the colder side than the warmer
We don't want
side.
people
Yeah.
that you're so. I've been in rooms that you're so cold I can't even think.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, then of course, then we're defeating everything, right? We're wasting our time here. Let's continue on. If it's just right, just a little cool, warm body circulate, which we talked about that. Maybe the oxygen improve attention span. Pay attention to temperature during the day and make adjustments as needed. Don't wait till the end of the day and ask your students, look, if you're cold, tell me. Now, women are always clothed, right? That's just, they have body fat different than men. I guess the circulation might be somewhat different, and they have a tendency to always be colder. So you got to be sensitive. But women are pretty intelligent. They realize, a guy will go to a room, he just won't be prepared. A woman's going to be like, she's probably bringing a sweater, she's trying to bring something. But I've had women in the class, they brought the sweaters, they brought everything, and they are still freezing. So you can use a woman in the class as a good judge because they might tell you. So the guys are like, whatever. But get people to give you the feedback because you not want people to be uncomfortable. Classroom layout. When possible, have the room set up in a classroom-style layout. We prefer 2 people per 6-foot table or 3 people per 8-foot table. And I rarely will compromise on that. A herringbone pattern is good in a small group. Need to probably an image what a herringbone pattern is. And a herringbone pattern would be this. You have a screen in the center. That was where the screen is in the center. And instead of having the tables all parallel to each other to the screen, the center row, let's say it's a center row, it would be straight center, and the 2 outside rows would be turned slightly in. So instead of you sitting this way, you're sitting that way, looking to the center of the classroom. So if I have an option, I will take this. If it's three sections on a row, the center, let's say, X number of tables would go straight. If it's going to be 1 screen, then the other 2 outside would go in. Now, it's possible that you have only 2 rows. Well, if it's only 2 sections, well, then 2 sections do what? They're all herringbone, right? With the center being the walkway, and then, of course, that's where you have a screen. Now, if you have multiple screens, like a lot of times we'll have 2 screens, well, then everything stays straight because they're facing a specific section there. So think about moving the table a little bit, because see, you're sitting there and then you're like this the whole day, right? It's micro tension on your back. Where if you can turn your body here, even if you sit right now, if you're watching this DVD, if you sit right now, turn your head like that, and just hold that for a minute, and then take the lower body and turn it. And even to do it right now, you guys try it right now. Try to turn your head there and see how it feels. Just don't, and then turn your body to it. You'll notice that when you turn your head, there's tension here. You turn your body to it, all of a sudden, it relaxes. And you don't realize this. Listen, that's what's a great instructor, right? We're looking at the littlest, tiniest thing. How can we make a difference to the people? So that's a suggestion you have, herringbone pattern. Remove extra tables in the back of the room. The moment I get to a venue, I want to know how many people are actually in this class. Well, we're going to have probably between 42 and 48. I counted 112 tables. Well, we told the hotel 100, we got about 100, and they set up a couple extra ones. I said, okay, here's what we're doing. Let's go right now. Right now. That's why I get there early. We're getting rid of every single table, every single chair, but I am leaving some chairs piled up in the room just in case. Here's what I want. I want people to come in the room, and I want them to have not a spot to sit. Like, oh my gosh, they got more people than they expected. Not like you got 112 setting and you got 42 people showing up and you got people peppered all over the place and nobody can connect. No, I want to make sure I remove all the tables, all the chairs. For a fact, whatever you tell me, I'll have 1 or 2% more tables and chairs than what I would need to make it. So I want people to be close. Now, if I can't control, like you're in an auditorium, if some of you guys have spoken, you're like, now what can you do that? Well, then what I do is I control it. I take and I tell people, I'm there early in the class. As soon as I see somebody sits over there, I say, hey, sorry, got to go in the center. Oh, go on the other side. No, sorry. I'll put tape if I can put tape. I block it all off, but I will never allow anybody, and then I would take the last X rows and I would cross those out, and I actually corral people. I actually move them. No. Here, I can pick up the book for them. Hey, no, you're not sitting here. Sorry, you're going over here. And I realize, because see, you'll ask people, hey, listen, can you move over here? They'll blow you completely off 100% of the time. Can you move over here? Guys in the back, can you get in the front there? They're going to annoy you. I know they're going to annoy you. So guess what I do? I just go up to them, hey, listen, I need you to move right now. Here. Let's get your stuff. The other guys are like, okay. I get my stuff and I'm moving because he really means. And then when a class starts, somebody comes in and, hey, no, I got to move aside. You guys got to decide. And they go in and sit down. I'm like, no, you understand. No, I'm not getting started till you get in the center. I'm in control at all times because when I'm speaking, I don't want to have the class peppered. I want to be able to talk right here. We're working together as a team. So think about that. Here's a sample. You can see 2 people, or rather 2 chairs per 6-foot section. Now, let me give you an advantage of 2 chairs per 6-foot section. You set it all up, and the room can only hold 48 people. And that's it, 2 people per 6-foot section. And all of a sudden, 12 more people show up. Not a problem. Why? We put another chair in between. And then we go with 3 people per 6-foot section. It's not comfortable. It's not perfect. But if you ever get a hotel and you say, hey, listen, I need a room, I'm getting a class, and I got a class with 42 people. They will squeeze 42 chairs in that room. Right. So you don't tell them how many people you want. You tell them how many tables that you want. I want 14 tables times 2, that wouldn't be 28. Let's say 42. What's 42 divided? It'd be 21 tables, right? I want 21 tables in the room, and I want you 2 chairs per. So the tables is what I'm important. And I want you to set it herringbone style on this side here. So we get the physical dimension of the room in our office. And then we know what it's going to be. And then we agree and we send them a picture. This is what we want. So there's nothing to chance. Everything in our office, we measure, not that you guys would have to do this, but just be aware, we have specifications. How far away is this projector from this screen? How far away is this table from this stage? How wide is this? How deep is the stage? How wide is the stage? How high is that particular riser? Every single thing that we're doing because of our size, it didn't matter what it would be, we would need, because there is a certain amount of distance the projector has to be from the screen. And these are just mechanical things. And if you're not aware of that, when you get into a classroom, you might find out, holy mackerel, the projector has to be 4 rows back into this thing. And now you got the cables and you're standing inside there. Let me suggest that in the textbook we need to say this. I never allow them to have the screen in the corner, facing like at a 45-degree angle. I've seen that where they have 2 rows facing straight. Then in the center part, they have 3 chairs on a riser where they have people with microphones, and it's going to be like a panel. And then on the corner, they have a screen. Right. I say, listen, get rid of the tables, get rid of the podium, get rid of this riser, take the screen, put the screen right there, move the projecting setup, put it right in the center between the 2 rows. Thank you very much. Because I have to. I'm trying to give my students the best I possibly can. Continuing on, 5.3. Sufficient room between the tables. Let's go back over here. We have a specific dimension. I don't know if it's in the textbook or not, if we're going to run across that, but there is a specific distance that this table here is between this table there. Because if not, then you say, hey, I want to have 21 tables. Okay, we'll get you 21 tables with 2 chairs per table, and there's like 14 inches between the tables. So you have to specify the room, for those of you that are involved in that kind of facility. There should be sufficient room between the tables so it doesn't feel like the chairs are cramped together without enough room to move. Okay, at least 3 feet. There's your distance. Move tables away from your instructor area so you can move around. I get there and I move the chairs out of here. I take the couple chairs out of this end here. I move that one over there. I move that one over there in the first row. I take the second row, move that just a little bit less than the first row. So now I kind of have like a little V coming in, so I have plenty of room. I can walk around over here. I can walk around over there. I stand there. I said my hand's going to go here. I'm going to set my laptop there. My projector's there. My water's here. Oh, my bar stool is there. Okay, I'm ready. Let me go visit the guys. So I get myself set first. Continuing on. Avoid round tables which can lead to students' cross conversations and lack of attention. I've actually had classes, which I did not know, that they had 150 people. Let's say 100 people, make it easy. They had round tables and they had 10 people per table. You know, in other words, it's like a banquet kind of scenario. And I'm like how can I have 100 people and 10 people per table? Because half of those people are facing the other side of the room, and half of the people are facing that side, half the people facing that side, and maybe that's not half, whatever it is. But that half is facing this side. So half the people are like this, right? Half the people are like that. Half of the people are like this, and half of the people, maybe it doesn't work out mathematically, does it? Whatever.
Well, it was a big group.
A bunch of people.
A lot of halves.
And have-nots.
Okay, and then the other part is facing that way.
Yeah.
Of course, fourths. I did that because I want to see if you guys caught the math on that. That's why I did that.
That's calculus.
That's right. That's a different kind of thing. So I told them, I'm sorry, we're not doing this. And of course, the banquet facility goes nuts. I'm like, I'm sorry. We're not doing, if you're going to do round, I don't care. But you're putting 5 people facing that way round. So some people standing that way, some people sitting that way, other people get a chance, and it's the best I can possibly do. Well, but we're supposed to have the food at the same time. I've actually had them do a seminar where they actually set the salt, the pepper, the flowers, the table settings. Everything was set in the morning for the lunch, and that's where we were sitting for the day to do the program. And I'm like, are you kidding me? No. So they have to take all these. They were going nuts. I don't care. I don't care. My guys are going to be getting the best. When I say guys, obviously ladies too, are going to get the best I can. So watch the round tables. By the way, we have a proposal, and Ryan, we can make that available to instructors that are doing seminars. Now, I think, Ryan, I gave you my proposal, right? Which specifies, make sure you get the most current one we have, which specifies details for them to understand what they need to do. No round tables. You need to provide this. You need to be in this scenario. Boom, boom, boom. Avoid auditorium seating when possible. Usually, if you have an auditorium, you have no control. Right. You're going to a university, you're going to some organization, Home Depot, corporate office, they have an auditorium. Well, then that's what you have. But that creates a lot more work for you to what? See if you can duct tape the sides up and control the back rows. And if not, then you got to keep pushing the people around. It's just more work for you, but hey, it's okay. You do what you got to do. Continuing on. Don't let the hotel move you to a different room on a second day of a multi-day program. And I didn't realize, Ryan, you were at the program. And I've told the seminar of my trainer, and I always find it fascinating when I talk about things that happened 10, 20 years ago, and somebody was actually at that venue, and like, wow, so I'm really telling this truth. I'm doing a seminar. It was at Seattle.
Seattle.
Okay. And the first day was fine, nice little room. Everything was great. The next day, the room was by somebody else in the room. I said, hey, because I get there early, listen, I'm not sure. Oh, no, we have this room today. I said, no, we have this room today because I did the room yesterday. So I get the people, now they're all running around and say, no, we have you set up in another spot. I'm like, my guys, it's a 2-day program. We were here yesterday. We're all expected to come to our room. These people just got here, so you take these people who's a 1-day program, you get them out of my room, and you move them somewhere else. They say, no, we can't do that. And listen, Mr. Holt, I apologize. We're sorry. Listen, but we have you set up somewhere else, and it's going to be fine. It's not going to be a problem. And I'm like, all right. Because I do push hard, but there's a point that's like, fine. I go to the other spot. Ryan, do you want to tell them what it was like?
It was an auditorium, very large auditorium, with the chairs, no tables, just chairs, which is terrible. All the seating was on the stage. I mean, everybody was on the stage of an auditorium in folding chairs for an 8-hour program with stage lights burning down on you. I mean, it was, I looked in and I was speechless. And it was dreadful. And I mean, it was a horrible experience. Nobody was comfortable. Everybody was hot. It was a Mickey Mouse show. And
Hold on.
right,
Watch out the Mickey Mouse show.
yeah, right, I know. I caught that as soon as it left my mouth. It was, it felt second rate. Not
Yeah.
that Mickey Mouse is second rate;
Right,
he's
right.
first rate. But
The rat's not going to be
right.
happy.
So, and one of the things that I'm thinking about is if this is the first time I've ever been to this instructor's program, I'm thinking, wow, yeah, that's Mike Holt Enterprises, terrific. Yeah, see you later. I mean. Man, it is all about the student, and the students were terribly uncomfortable. But it does have to be about you as well. You're representing yourself with everything. Not just what you say, but the environment. And all. It was awful. I couldn't I couldn't possibly exaggerate how bad it was.
I've never seen the Grand Canyon, okay, and I've seen pictures. Okay, yeah, pictures. Okay, it's not the same thing.
Right.
Even you telling the story, nobody could actually understand. Because you'd have to be on a large auditorium with this large stage, and when you're sitting on this wood platform on this stage, which has all the tape, all the stuff, and you have these massive high-intensity beam lights that are coming straight down on top of you, and you're in this stage, and I'm talking to these people on chairs with no tables, and guess what? Some of the people never came on the stage. They're sitting in this massive auditorium way back all over the place, and I'm sitting there. And, of course, I think everybody knew that I did everything I possibly could. I was nuts, and there was nothing I could do about that. Yeah. But that means it didn't mean I didn't try, but it was in
You apologize to the audience for it, and you move on.
Does it? Best we can. All right, let's move on. So watch it when you have multiple days that the hotel has your room for your place. All right, continuing 5.3 in the classroom layout. This is my recommendation screen size. Minimum 8x8 screen no matter what size classroom. And if you go up to 40 people, from 41 to 100, I'd recommend a 9x12. And then from 101 to 150, I'd go with a 12x12. And then you start going with 2 screens above that. Here's an example if you take a look at our program. This is set up for 600 people. Well, actually, this is not set up for 600 people because 600 people, we actually have 4 screens.
Correct.
We have 2 screens that are the PowerPoint, and 2 screens are actually the image of me.